Okay, hi. So we're going to have some pillows and things nearby for the end of the practice, and a blanket or a bolster or pillow, something like that to sit on as well. But to start off with, I thought we'd just do our standing warm-up, get into our breath. So come and stand on your mat. I'll turn my heater off. It's definitely chillier today. All righty. Okay, so let's just stand with our feet comfortably hip width apart, but a bit wider than hip width apart. Look down at your feet, lift them and spread them, kind of rock from one foot to the other, and then place your feet down purposefully and imagine that you're rooting your feet right down through the ground, deep, deep, deep into the earth. And then soften those knees, push the floor away as you ripple upwards through to the crown of your head. Roll one shoulder, roll the other shoulder, and then just take your hands behind your head, interlacing your hands, and gently draw your shoulders back and drop your shoulders down. And then pull your elbows back a little bit, and then pull your elbows down. And then just draw your chin back so the back of your head is pressing into your hands. And wriggle your jaw like that, and give yourself a little yawn like that. And then just start to breathe. Doesn't matter what kind of breathing, just start to breathe deeply, spreading the breath all around your lungs. And we want to get right down into the bottom lobes. We want to get right out here underneath the armpits into those intercostal muscles. We really want to get into the back of the lungs, using this area, which is where we have most of our lung capacity. So use these first few moments to just get a lot of deep, full, refreshing breath into the body, waking up the body and the mind, sending that oxygen around. Sigh the breath out. So open your mouth and just sigh the breath out. Pull the breath in through the back of your nostrils. That's it. Keep pressing those elbows back, keep dropping those shoulders. See if you can slightly drop the base of the rib cage, even though you're flaring your ribs. Try not to kind of lean all the way back like that at this point. Nice, big, smooth breaths. That's it. Now take the hands out to the side, drop your shoulders. Start by stretching your neck gently, looking over one hand and then the other. And then consciously start to relax the little muscles around your eyes. So your eye gaze becomes a little bit soft, breathing evenly in and out. That's the way. And then taking the hands so that the palms are facing forward, middle fingers pulling outwards, little circles backwards. Imagine you have an orange between your shoulder blades and you're squeezing the orange. Little circles backwards. Drop your shoulders. We don't want the shoulders up here. We want them right down here. Whole shoulder girdle dropping down your back. Little squeeze circles, activating, strengthening the muscles that will hold your shoulders into place. That's it. Then drop your hands down. Pull energy right up through your body. Stretch your hands up towards the ceiling. Press down with your toes so that you rise up. I'm sorry, my arms are disappearing. Stretch your whole body on your tippy toes like that, and then drop down and take your feet a little bit wider, dropping down into a goddess stance. Take your hands around and just swish. So this is one of my favorite things to do, swishing with fingertips nice and wide, knees bend, then straighten, bend, then straighten. So we just kind of wake up the central nervous system and we start to get even more breath, pulling into the body, pressing out of the body. Big swishes. That's it. Let's turn that into the discus throwing movement. So throw your discus, point your toes down, point, stretch, down, inhaling and exhaling. So we are hydrating the fascial system when we stretch the whole body like this, going to our end range of stretch. That's it. And then come back, just warming up the upper body, the thoracic spine. Give yourself a little tap, getting that twist into the thoracic area, bra strap height. Good. Come down, roll your shoulders. Take all the weight onto the left leg, onto the right toes. Give yourself a little Elvis twist here. So we're doing the waist as well as those big rotator muscles around that hip joint, massaging, opening up into the pelvis, and then jiggle your way over to the other side. Get into that right hip joint. That's it. Just start to get a bit of movement around the pelvis, and then coming back into the center. And we're going to take the hips right around in a circle. So if you find this kind of weird to do, clunky to do, then you need to do it more often. But we want to, in that case, put your hip to the side, pivot bone forward, hip to the other side, bum back. Start as if you're going around the corners of a diamond, and then try and make it a little bit more fluid, and then a little bit more fluid still, and then you bend your knees, and you lift and drop your hips, like so. So just a great way to start to open up all the muscles around the pelvis. Great for relieving back pain, a wonderful thing to do if you get very PMSy, before period feel very heavy and not good, then this kind of moving just help all the vascular flow around the pelvic bowl. Big circles. Other direction. As we do the other direction, let's take the arms out as well. Drop the shoulders just to get the heart rate up a little bit. Massage those hips around. That's the way. Very good. Drop down into your goddess stance again. Knees out. Try not to have your toes too far out. Toes are about 45-degree angle. Drop down and then inhale all the way up. Exhale down. Breathe underneath those armpits. Stretch those intercostal muscles between the ribs. Pull the breath up through the back of your lungs, through the front of your lungs. Up and down. Good. Now, toes are a little bit closer. Drop one shoulder, look over the other shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, sigh it out. Inhale, release, go, ha, ha, ha. That's it. Keep going, ha. Come back into the center, shoulders away from ears, lifting and tucking the tail. Just fluid movement through the pelvis. Back, forward, keep going with that. Back and forward with the pelvis so that we create that lovely mobility through the pelvis. We want to really focus on the tail lifting, the tail tucking, the tail lifting, the tail tucking. That's the way. And then next time you lift your tail, swish it from side to side. So we'll get into those hip joints a bit more and also open up the back line of the body. Swishing and swishing and swishing. Now see if you can make your swishes a little bit bigger, a little bit swishier, going into the inner thigh area. Swish and swish and swish and pause your swish. Tail is sticking up here. Your knees sticking on top of your ankle. Bring your other toes back. Now pull the toes, then squeeze them. And then pull the toes, squeeze them, and pull those toes. Stretch those toes as far apart as you possibly can. Give the inner thigh a little rub here. Warm up those adductor muscles that run right up into the pelvic floor. And then give your hips a little swish. And then swish all the way over to the other side and bring those toes back. Squeeze them, pull them back. Squeeze them, pull them back. Squeeze and pull back. Hold it there. Rub the inside of those thighs right up into the groin and then also just above the knee. Good. This leg here is nice and solid while we're in this position. Coming back, circle those hips again. Lovely. So just warming the body up. And now I'm going to get you to come against the wall so we can imprint the wall into the body, getting into that good posture. So by now, hopefully we are really moving away from the pelvis forward, shoulders rolling forward, head tucking forward, or at least when you're in that position, you recognize it and you bring yourself back. And similarly, we want to avoid shoulders back and chest thrusting like that, because that destabilizes the core and it puts a lot of compression in the mid-back. So let's get into our good alignment. Let's come against the wall. Look down at your feet again. The feet are our foundation. So very, very important to pay attention to your feet and start to give them a bit of TLC. So feet are about an inch away from the wall, maybe 2 inches. And then we want to lift and spread those toes, create lovely, big, wide, fat, feet, good foundations, and then lift the inner arches. So that's just an energetic lift up. I like to imagine there's a tack just underneath the inner arch, and I'm just kind of lifting up the arch so I don't squash my foot onto the tack. Pushing down and slightly out with your feet so that we start to feel a little bit of activation through the outer thigh muscles. Push your bum into the wall so that you're a little bit soft here through the hip flexors. It's not hard, there's a little dip here. Now place your back into the wall. From the rib cage, the base of the rib cage upwards, we want all of that area against the wall. There's going to be a little gap for your lumbar curve, but we want this area from here upwards to kind of be into the wall. So roll one shoulder, slide your hand down, palm forward, roll the other shoulder, palm down, so palm forward, fingers down. Draw the chin back, so give yourself a nice double chin and press the ridge of your head into the wall. If you're very tight through the upper back and you're quite rounded, you might find that at this point in time, you can't quite reach the wall, in which case, fold a towel, fold a blanket, and just slide it behind your head so that you've got something to press against. This does change in time, so you don't worry, it's not static, everything changes. You can change your physicality, you can change how your posture is, how you stand in space. So chin in. Now, when you put the ridge of your head back, quite often the chest pops forward again. So imagine you've got that orange between your shoulders and you're kind of squashing the orange back into the wall. You're kind of squashing that area between your shoulders into the wall so that you feel this area here is all kind of switched on. Push your bottom back into the wall as well. Imagine you have that tail, it's going through the wall, someone's pulling it on the other side. So push your tail back, down and out with your feet, so you're nice and alive with the feet. Back with your bum again, back between the shoulders. Now back with the arms as well. Make sure you press right back through the forearms, through the back of the hands, open your hands wide. Back with your head, so push the back of your head and slide it up a tiny bit. So you have a very gentle stretch through the cervical spine, the back of your neck. Down and out with your feet, soften the knees, back with your bum, back between your shoulders. Get this activated here. Back with your arms, back with the back of the hands, back and slightly up with the back of your head. Lots of backs. Now, when we come off the wall, it kind of feels as if you've got a magnet through the back of the body, almost drawing you back towards the wall. So just step away from the wall, roll the shoulders, and then roll your head. Lovely big sort of massaging roll. And then place your head on top of your neck again. So when we're standing here in great alignment, this is a good time to be activating the pelvic floor. When we're standing like this, it's not such a good time to be activating the pelvic floor. So we want to try and make sure that we're in good alignment. So let's pretend we've got testicles and a pair of spectacles on, and I want you to exhale and imagine you are lifting your testicles to your spectacles and then drop back down again. So imagine you're drawing in and upwards through the front line of the body from the pelvic floor at the front, from around the urethra, these imaginary testicles, and you're zipping in and up towards your spectacles, just because they rhyme, and then down again. So it's like the urethra is like a hose pipe, about 6 centimeters long, and we want to imagine the sphincter is squeezing shut like that, and then zipping upwards, and then we're releasing it, and then shut and up and releasing it. So just do a couple more of those. Your testicles to spectacles. Very good. And release. Come and sit down on the ground. If you've got a bolster, then this is great to sit on something like that. If you don't worry, either using a pillow or just sitting normally. But what I want you to do is have a slight anterior, which means forward, tilt to the pelvis. So if you're sitting on the ground and you're tight in the hips, and it means you're looking like this, you're rounded through the lower back, that's not ideal. We instead need some height underneath our bottoms, like a brick or something like that, so that we can sit nice and tall and we can feel that our tail is lifted and our pubic bone is dropping down. So we want to be on a very slight slant rather than that way, a little bit that way. All right, so taking your positions, please, ladies. This, by the way, is a little bit like straddling the side of the couch, the arm of the couch. So if you do find it difficult to feel your pelvic floor muscles, then not a bad idea just to put something underneath your bottom so that you can actually get a bit of proprioception and feel these muscles. So I'm just going to get you to wobble from side to side wherever you're sitting, and we want to feel the pubic bone dropping down and the sitting bones in contact, but our tailbone, if you just feel the sacrum at the bottom of your spine, the feel there, and then slide your finger to the tailbone. We want that tailbone to not be squeezed underneath us, but instead just a tiny bit, a millimeter kind of off our prop, off the bolster or off the ground. Alrighty, lengthening out of the waist like so. We'll just open up into the shoulder girdle a little bit first. So I'm going to get you to take your hands onto your shoulders like so, and then do some big circles with your elbows. Now, as you start to move, start to go into your Ujjayi breathing. So nice loose jaw, very gently closing the mouth and breathing in and out of your nostrils. That's it. Now pull your elbows back so we've got lots of space to breathe in. And then as you exhale, pull your elbows together and curl your spine. Inhale to open the body and exhaling to curl. Inhaling, lifting the heart, exhaling, dropping back down again, tucking the tail and then lifting the tail. Just getting a nice bit of cat and cow kind of movement through the spine, encouraging the breath. That's the way. Take your left hand up towards the ceiling, slide up and over to the side. Drop your left hip down so we get quite a deep stretch through the side waist here. Open the chest. Imagine the wall is directly behind you, so you're kind of pushing your elbow into the wall. There we are. And then just let your head go. So leave your head and let it be all floppy. Leave your head there. Take your hands down so we stretch into the neck here, these scalenes, and take some breaths and send your breath into this area. So you're consciously mobilizing your breath. You're using your mind's eye to affect what's going on in your body. Taking a deep breath in, sigh the breath out, and then just roll your head over to the other side. Stretch those right fingers up towards the ceiling, up and over, elbow back, shoulder down. Taking some deep, full breaths to get into those intercostal muscles, right into the back of the lungs. Wonderful, slow, smooth breath. And starting now, as we're in this side stretch, to just glance around your room. Really sort of orientating yourself in space and time now. And then really feeling into your body, just underneath the skin surface of your body, stretching here. Take those fingertips down. Become very aware of your body, the trillions and trillions of cells that make up this physical body of yours. And just being very aware of this moment in time, your body stretching, enjoying, opening up and breathing. Maybe mentally scanning the body. Let's roll the head around. Scanning the body as you do this, maybe closing the eyes if that feels okay for you. And just noticing where your body is holding any tension, any feeling of heaviness, congestion, and where things feel kind of good, kind of open, kind of normal. And there's no story attached. We're just simply rolling right now and listening in and reflecting and just noticing what's going on. And let's turn that into a swirl in the other direction. Let your shoulders get involved. Let your shoulders roll around as well, because they love to move. They love the freedom of movement. And in our daily lives, we don't tend to let the shoulders move and groove as much as they would probably like. So let them follow the head, dance around as well. And then come back into the center like so. So I'm going to get you to Open your hands like a lotus flower opening up as you inhale, and then as you exhale, draw them together like the lotus finger, the lotus petals drawing inwards. And as you inhale, see if you can consciously relax your pelvic floor muscles to basement level. So it's really kind of like you could almost do a wee, but don't, but is that relaxed? And then as you start to slow your exhale down, I'd also like you to see if you can create a suction feeling inwards, a hugging feeling inwards, and a suction feeling upwards. So we inhale, the flower opens, we exhale, drawing fingertips in and up, and we have a reflective drawing in and up pelvic floor muscles. Opening on the inhale, closing on the exhale. Now, if you find this hard at first, focus initially on the back passage. So start off by feeling as if you're stopping yourself passing wind on that exhale. And then imagine that that contraction from the back is zipping forward towards the front. And that sometimes encourages the front area around the urethra to also activate and draw towards the back. So we're ideally, if you can imagine two ends of the sling, they are drawing inwards and then upwards. And then the side, the sitting bones, we've got this lovely big figure of 8 that goes across the perineum from one sitting bone to the other. And we're also trying to draw those muscles inwards and up and release. And the thing is, this area here, if you've had an episiotomy, that can sometimes disrupt the blood flow around here and can really cause some issues, especially in these midlife years. So it's important to get this this squeeze and release, this blood flow back into this area. So the whole area, exhaling and inhaling to release. Exhaling, inhale. Now let's go slow twitch muscles. So that means exhale, draw in, pause. Exhale again and zip upwards as if you're coming right up towards your tummy button, pause. Exhale, see if you can go up a little bit higher. So your top level of the lift here. And then slowly come down, pause, slowly come down a bit more, pause, and then all the way to basement level, everything's relaxed. Take a couple of breaths here, nice and relaxed, almost like you've got elastic on those 4 corners and they're pulling apart. And then again, very slowly, exhaling, gathering in, pause, exhale again to zip upwards, pause. As you pause, you breathe in through the nostrils, by the way. Exhale, zipping up a little bit higher, hold the height, hold it, hold it, hold it, zipping right up here. We're working in the deep levator ani level, and then slowly come down, and slowly come down and open, 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 and relax. Very good. Okay, let's just take ourselves off our bolsters. So we're not sitting on the bolsters anymore, but we are lying on the bolsters. So come over onto your side, take your bolster or your pillows underneath your bottom so we can down train, we can release these muscles. We know that a good 50% of women, maybe more, are actually holding too much tension in the pelvic floor. And annoyingly, you can have tension patterns and you can also have hypomobility where there isn't enough strength. So you can have a bit of both. In fact, it's common to have both, which means we need to do release work as well as strengthening work for most of us. All right, so just lying with your pelvis lifted is a wonderful start. And I'm going to get you to start to use your 360 breathing. So you imagine the breath is going into like a big beach ball from your tummy button down, and you are kind of sending your focus and your love and your attention right down into the pelvic floor, into the pelvic bowl here, into the inner thighs, into these hip flexors, into the hip area, into the buttocks, lower belly. Lovely big swirling breath, softening breath. And then just checking in with your shoulders. Are they feeling nice and released away from your ears? Is your jaw nice and relaxed? Maybe take a moment now just to take your fingers onto the masseter muscles. So where the lower jaw connects into the upper jaw, press your fingers in there. Just notice how much tension there is there. And then kind of draw your fingers down, massaging your lower jaw. That's it. Make sure your tongue is feeling really heavy in the mouth. So this fascial system underneath the skin surface goes from the jaw all the way down and into the pelvic floor. So how much tension we hold in the jaw is reflected in the pelvic floor muscles. That's it, nice and relaxed here. And then just taking your right knee in towards your chest, see if you can slide your left leg out. If it doesn't feel good, just keep it here. We'll just work on this side. But if it does feel all right, just see if you can slide it out a little bit until we get a stretch into those hip flexors here. And then taking the arm above the head as well. Take some smooth, deep breaths and try to keep the whole area relaxed. Well, it's nice just to have a lie down, isn't it? And then up and over to the other side, same thing, stretching the front line of the body. See if you can just gently draw that left knee slightly out to the side. Good, and then take your toes together, but your knees apart. So we're like a frog, upside down, holding onto your shins. And let's just roll those ankles around. Give our ankles and our feet a little bit more attention. Big circles here, one direction and then the other. And shoulders relax and just gently, gently pressing down through the inner thighs to open up right deep into those adductor muscles, the muscles that go into the pelvic floor, inner thigh muscles. Good, so we want these muscles to be strong but also long. That's it. And then taking the feet up towards the ceiling. So coming into baby pose with the pelvis propped, so pelvic organs dropping away from pelvic floor. And push your heels away from you, but bring your toes towards you. Either grabbing hold of shins or ankles, or you might even be able to sneak your fingertips onto the arch of your foot. And if you're doing this, just make sure you don't tilt your pelvis right up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing the back of the pelvis into your bolster. And again, soft jaw, soft shoulders, soft breathing. And let's just start to press those heels away. Create a length through the inner thighs and then bend the knees again. And then very gently press them away, going into your edge, pressing into your edge, bending the knees, pressing into the edge again. Very good. Roll those ankles. Grab hold of your right ankle, place it on top of your left knee. Start to draw your left knee in towards you, very gently pressing the right knee out to the side. So we're getting the stretch into the right. So on the other side, you can't see it about here, but on the right-hand side. Smooth breath, keep breathing. So we want everything to be relaxed and soft as we go into these deeper stretches so that pelvic organs can drop away from pelvic floor. When there's too much tension there, tension does not mean strength. So it's much more likely that prolapse is going to get worse if there's tension. So we want to make sure that we are consciously softening, softening, softening. Other side. Good. And in the past, we've done the buzzy bee breath when we've been in this stretch. So if you like doing the buzzy bee breath, please do. It's such a wonderfully simple way to stimulate the pituitary gland and just to calm the central nervous system down very quickly. So it's just there's a breath in through the back of the nostrils and the breath out like this. Good. Okay, roll those knees around. A little bit of lubrication into those hip joints. One direction and then the other, like so. And then taking your bolster out from underneath you, I'm first of all going to get us to switch on our bottom muscles, our gluteal muscles. So lie here in a neutral spine. We've got a little gap, a tiny gap underneath the lower back. We're not kind of arching like this though. It's not a big gap. And the top of the hip bones, if you put your fingers on your hip bones here, and the bottom of your rib cage should be in alignment. That's what we're looking for. If you just go around the side of your tummy, you should be able to feel rib cage and hip bones aligned here. Good. So let's just start by pressing into the heels as you exhale. flatten your lower back into the ground and get a little tilt. So the hip bones go a little bit higher than the rib cage, and then roll the other way. So we have a bit of a gap here, and then tilting and then releasing. So it's like a seesaw, flattening and releasing, but make sure you press your heels into the ground a little bit. So we also get some activation through the gluteal muscles, the bum muscles. So we start little, start with just a tiny bit of movement, and then let's go a little bit higher. So as we go higher, we press more into the heels, pelvis comes up off the ground a little bit higher. We go up the vertebra a little bit more. And again, keep going until the movement comes right up towards the shoulders and we get a bit of a stretch through the upper back. So pressing through those heels, coming up and then slowly coming down. Press through the heels, coming up and slowly coming down. Press through those heels, come up. Let's just pause here. Pause for a moment. Now press firmly through the heels. You can almost lift your toes off. Make sure glutes are switching on. All right, so if we've got grotty lower back, it doesn't feel good. I just want you to go up onto your toes and then go into your heels, toes, heels, like so. Yeah, so if you feel like your pelvis needs just even love and attention, this is your version today. If you feel you could go a bit more, take your feet together, take all the weight into the left foot and stick your right foot out in front of you. So now the left glute is really switched on. And then try and take the foot up towards the ceiling to stretch the back of your legs slightly and just take your mind off the glute here. And then foot back, all the weight in your right heel, stick your left foot out in front of you. So now the right glute is really firing up. You might want to take your foot up towards the ceiling, back again, and drop, and we'll roll down very slowly, one vertebra at a time. So it feels like you're massaging out through the back as you come down very, very slowly. And then just let the back totally settle into the ground. So do that one more time. Press the heels into the ground, rippling up the spine very slowly. Pause when you're on a diagonal. Make sure the palms are pressing down to support you. Feet close together. Stick all your weight into your left heel. Stick your right foot out in front of you. Exhale to take it up towards the ceiling. Drop it. Exhale up towards the ceiling. Drop it. One more. Exhale up towards the ceiling. Drop it. Take the right heel into the ground, press all the way into the right heel, left foot out in front of you, up and down, exhaling up and down, exhaling up and down, both feet on the ground, slowly, 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 rippling down. Just give the back a little moment to settle into the ground. Okay, so feet a little bit apart. I'm going to get you, if you find that when you're lying on your back, your head is tilting up, then take, maybe not as big as a bolster, but take a blanket or a brick underneath your head so that it's not doing that. We want to still have that integrity where the chin is drawing back and we feel a little bit of elongation through the back of the neck there. All right, let's just focus on pelvic floor zipping up, and then we're going to lift the head. This is the precursor to if we were coughing or sneezing and needing to have activated our pelvic floor muscles before intra-abdominal pressure goes downwards. So just like we were doing when we were sitting, on an exhale, gather the pelvic floor muscles in first. Exhale again to zip up past your tummy button, and then exhale again to cinch in your corsetory muscles. So it's like you've just done up the top of your jeans and everything's kind of squeezed in slightly. And then we let it all go. So that's 1, 2, 3, okay? In on 1, zipping up on 2, and then in again on 3. And then let it all go. What we don't want though is when we get to 3, let go of 1. So 1 needs to stay there. Exhaling in on 1, zipping up for 2, and then in on 3. Now, if we want to add 4, while we keep that lift, we just also lift the head off the ground like so, and then let everything go, relax. Okay, so we're going to try and do that in one long exhale. So breathing in through the back of the nostrils, exhaling, drawing in, zipping up, inwards, and then head up at the end of that exhale, and then all the way down and relax. What you can do is you can add your fingers coming across the midline of the body. So you're pulling those recti muscles, those external muscles inwards to the center line as you take your head up. That lifting of the head is working on the external muscles. Number 1, 2, and 3 are working on the pelvic floor and the deep transverse abdominal muscles. This is why we need to do this bit first. So let's try all of that together. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys focus on breathing out. So zipping in on 1, zipping up on 2, 3, drawing everything in, 4, squeezing and lifting the head, and then letting it all go. Relax, 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 relax. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. Actually, let's exhale through the teeth. So like this. So it just makes it a little bit more work with the diaphragm, helps the pelvic floor to lift. So starting your as you draw inwards, zipping upwards, drawing the waist inwards, and head comes up at the end of your exhale and drawing down. Do another 3 or 4 of these with your own breath, making sure that the pelvic floor muscles draw in first. It's a zipping right up through the cervix towards your tummy button, and then cinching in the corset, and then head up last of all, and relaxing it all. We'll do a few more of those. Okay, so once you've done a few of those, I want you to do it really fast, and I want you, as you're lifting your head up, I want you to pretend to do a cough. So it looks like this. So you don't breathe out first, but at the beginning of your cough, when there's a little bit of breath coming out of you, you have already gathered everything up. And then as you cough and you put pressure downwards through the cough, you've already lifted and you are ready for that intra-abdominal pressure going downwards. Let's try sneeze. Maybe try slow sleep. Hopefully you got that. We need to practice it though. All right, so we're going to add bum work to core work. So take your blanket out if you've got a blanket there. Take your feet so that they are as wide as your mat. This is a really good one for going deep into the pelvic bowl. So we want to press down through the heels. We rise up on an exhale and we squeeze the knees and the thighs together. 1, 2, 3. We release the knees, roll back down, release the back, release the bum, release the pelvic floor. Exhaling, drawing up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your knees, release your knees, roll back down, everything relaxes. Breathing in, exhaling, 1, 2, 3, release the knees, roll back down, everything relaxes. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, release the knees, roll back down, let everything relax. Exhaling, push through the heels, 1, 2, 3, squeezing the knees, release the knees, roll back down and relax. Push through the heels, exhaling, 1, 2, 3, release the knees, rolling back down and relax. 2 more, coming up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down and relax. Exhaling, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down and relax. Take your toes together, heels off the ground like that, like a ballet dancer. We're going to pull the legs apart as we take our bottom off the ground. We do it on an exhale. So we draw up on the exhale, knees come apart like a butterfly, knees come back together, rolling down on the inhale. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Working on gluteus medius here. So this is also part of the stabilizing network for the pelvis. Up and out, in and down. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Well done, hooray. Let's just take the feet up towards the ceiling, roll those ankles around one direction and then the other, and then rub the back of your legs. Get right into those hamstrings, especially up just above the knees, and then right down near the bottom. Rub, 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 get a bit of warmth into the area. Now turn your toes out and rub the outside of your legs. Lovely bit of warmth here. And again, toes towards you. Press the back of the pelvis into the ground. Pull your toes down for maximum effect. You can see that we are in the position here that we're in when we are in tabletop. So let's just practice putting our hands over our heads. Imagine your fingers are against the wall, yeah? This is what you're looking for in tabletop. So it doesn't matter if the knees are a bit bent, but we're looking for the straight back in tabletop position. So rub the back of your legs again. Take your legs apart, rub the inside of your legs. Press the heels away. Now take the hands onto the outside of your knees. As you exhale, zip up through the pelvic floor, right up through to your ribs, and bring your legs together. And then take your legs apart again. Exhale, pelvic floor lifting, tummy lifting, and then inhale, open. See if this is okay. If it's a bit much, use bent knees. Same thing, but bent knees. Exhaling, inhaling, exhaling together, inhaling. Imagine you're breathing out of a straw, pursed lips. Good. And then baby pose, release it all. Maybe pulling on one foot and then the other just to massage across the spine. Wonderful work. Well done, guys. Good. Release now into that pelvic area. Drop the feet down onto your mat, nice and wide. Drop both knees over to your left. You can look over the right shoulder. Gently press down that right knee so that you get a stretch from the inside of the knee right up into your hip area. And then up and over to the other side. So this is the longest muscle in the body, and it crosses two joints from the knee and then across the pelvis. Lovely. Knees in, drop the knees to one side, gentle twist. You can make a twist deeper by pulling your knees closer, or not so deep by having your knees further apart, further away from you. And then the other side, gentle twist through the back. That's it. Alrighty, rolling over onto your side, coming onto your side like so. Now, this is where I want you to be careful of shoulder. If shoulder feels like it's not happy, you can do a similar thing lying down and just taking a blanket underneath your head like so. We're working on side waist, but also stabilizers around the pelvis. So this can be quite strong. You must pull your shoulder back, kind of like it's almost like you're sucking your arm into the shoulder girdle, and the whole shoulder girdle is sucking kind of backwards, inwards and backwards. Okay, so we are exhaling to draw in and zip upwards, pelvic floor zipping in and upwards, waist cinching in as well. So the corset, just exactly the same as we did on the ground, zipping in, and then we're coming up, pushing the floor away and coming onto our knees like so. Alrighty, see if you can stretch fingertips and toes nice and wide like that. Holding here, keep pressing down through the bottom knee, and then see if you can draw your knee and your elbow together, exhaling as you do, exhaling here. Good, so we're kind of imagining rib cage and top of the pelvis are squeezing together, opening up, squeezing together, opening up, like that. And then just coming down and giving the arm a bit of a stretch, other arm on top, stretch. Okay, so we're going to come back and do the same thing. If that was easy, or that was fine, you could test yourself a bit more. I want you to take your legs out and try same thing, exhaling to zip in and up, draw your shoulder back, and then see if you can push right up onto the outside of your bottom foot. So it's my left foot here. And if you're here, similarly, take arm and leg up and try to destabilize yourself by challenging your balance. This is strong on the shoulders. You really need to be sucking the arm into the shoulder socket here, and then slowly coming down, whichever version. That's quite strong on the shoulders, so don't do that version if it's too much at this time. Arm out and stretch like so. While we're on our sides, take a pillow or a blanket underneath your head Just make sure that your spine is nice and long here. Take your right fingers on top of your forehead and just open your elbow behind you so that we can create a wonderful twist through the thoracic spine and release that shoulder. Release the top shoulder, we'll release the other shoulder in a moment. Elbow back. That's it. This time when you take your elbow back, leave it there. Turn your head to face forward. Unfurl your arms. You stretch deeply into these pectoral muscles. If this feels too much, same thing, but fingertips on hip, elbow back. So you just let gravity open the chest, squeeze through the thoracic area. That's it. I like to just roll those shoulders. Beautiful. Come on to hands and knees for a moment. Stretch your hands out, nice wide hands. Maybe turn the wrists around just to get a bit of stretch through the back of the wrists. So I think with so many of us working on our computers so much at the moment, there's a lot of carpal tunnel starting to appear. So we need to be careful of that and make sure that we release those wrists. Lovely. Take your knees together, circle the hips around. So it's like you are drawing a circle on the ground with your belly button. Big circles, lovely big circles. One direction and then the other. Massaging circles. Let your shoulders join in the dance. The shoulders always want to join in. So let your shoulders get nice and fluid with your movement. That's it. Knees nice and wide, chest dropping down, either crossing your forearms and coming into puppy dog stretch like this, or if you're feeling all right in your shoulders, arms out nice and wide and drop the chest down. Turning the head to one side or chin in, and you just kind of squash your nose if you have your chin in. Tail high. That's the way. Alrighty, coming up, I'm just going to get you to do a couple of lengthening back and then forward, again strengthening into shoulders, switching on core muscles. So we are wide with our knees, sitting bones slightly lifted. On an exhale, chin sucking in by the way, on an exhale, slowly coming forward, pause, shoulders just over wrists. So you're taking all the weight down into your wrists, quite strong on the arms. Don't lock your elbows, little softness on the inside of your elbows. You know who you are. I know who you are. You lock your elbows, so keep it a little bit soft so that you can really use your arms. We inhale back, we release the pelvic floor muscles. We exhale, it's like a plunger running up through the body from those pelvic floor muscles, right up underneath the rib cage. Exhaling forward, pausing, inhaling back, exhaling forward, holding, lifting the pelvic floor, and then come back. One more, exhaling forward and pausing. Now come back, and if you need to rinse your wrists, do, and then tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Press your heels down one at a time. Imagine someone's behind you, a very tall person, has got your tail and they are lifting it towards the ceiling or where the ceiling and the wall intersect. So you're really lifting and spreading those sitting bones, stretching your spine primarily, creating lots of space between your head and your ears and your shoulders. So create a nice wide space there. And then just have a little dance with your feet. Massage those knees across the midline and then walk your whole body right around your mat. And you can give your tail a little wag as you go and then dropping down onto your knees and come over on this side. So forearm on the ground and take your knees out to the side. So we've got the first option, second option. Shoulder needs to suck in and then pull back, yeah? So imagine you've got a string at the back of your shoulder blade and it's kind of just pulling to the wall behind you. So you're really quite strong even here. If this is enough for you, I want you to stay here. So don't put extra pressure through the shoulder if it's not warranted at the moment, if you don't feel like it. All right, so exhaling, setting, pelvic floor lifting, corset starting to switch on. Exhale again, see if you can press upwards. So now we're actually working a lot harder into the pelvis. And then if that feels all right, we start to challenge balance, exhaling to draw elbow in towards knee. Keep checking in with shoulder, pulling that shoulder back slightly. Very good. Slowly come down, stretch the body out, stretch up and over. Imagine you're doing, what's that, coordinated swimming in the swimming pool where you do nice swimmy things? Imagine you're doing that. What's it called? Synchronized swimming. And there we go. Stretching the underside here and then come back again. And you're either doing the same version again, or if you want to challenge your balance and it's just a little bit harder, you straighten the legs out, exhale to set, and then exhale back up again, a little bit harder here. This gets right into gluteus medius, so great for stabilizing the pelvis. And maybe we are exhaling to challenge the balance here. If we're enough here, holding it, hold it. Just go to your edge and then challenge your edge just a bit. Come down, stretch out again. Do your synchronized swimming stretch. Few lovely deep breaths. And then slide your blanket underneath your head so that our spine is aligned. Fingertips on top of the forehead. Inhaling, elbow back and exhaling forward. Now, if you can, close your eyes and just really feel into this lovely release through the upper back area. This gentle twist, which just rinses out the thoracic spine where so many of us get very stiff. And we know that there's a direct correlation between stiffness around the heart and stiffness of the arteries. So we just want to make sure that we always stay moving, stay juicing. Motion is lotion. Okay, taking that arm back, unfurling the arm, turning the head forward, letting gravity just open the chest for a moment. Good, and then rolling here. Very good. Roll onto your tummy for a moment. We're going to open up the quads before we come up. So hands together like so. Roll the left shoulder back, grab hold of the left ankle. As you exhale, start to push the pubic bone down into the ground. So we're stretching and opening the front of the pelvis. And give yourself a couple of buzzy bee breaths out here. So it's the humming bee breath out. And that'll help you gently press the pubic bone down. Good. And then do that on the other side. Roll the shoulder back, grabbing hold of the ankle. And again, releasing the pubic bone down, just opening up into the whole of the front of the pelvis. Very good. Interlace your hands behind you. Draw the hands away from you as you stretch the front of your chest, releasing those shoulders. Holding the stretch here. Tops of the feet into the ground. Good. And then let's strengthen the back of the body. So this time, shoulders roll back, fingertips really stretching out, nice and alive. Inhaling, toes come off the ground, fingertips come off the ground. They're rocketing back, crown of the head rocketing forward. Holding here and then just going, nice and relaxed. Oh, good. And then one more of those. Roll the shoulder back. Inhaling, squeeze and stretch, squeeze and stretch, squeeze and stretch. And now take your hands onto your bottom. Squeeze your left glute into your hand. Drop it. Squeeze your right hand glute into your hand. Drop it. And then see if you can do it a little bit faster. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Then see if you can take your feet off the ground one at a time. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. If one glute is active and the other one isn't, do a couple more squeezes on the side that isn't working. And then if both sides are working, see if you can take feet off the ground, leave them off the ground, as you kick. 1, 2, but all the action's coming from your glutes as opposed to from the front of the pelvis, from the glutes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If this is okay for you, then challenge again by taking the arms either out to the sides or even out to the front. Keep squeeze, 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 and then toes and heels out and rock your hips from side to side. Toes and heels out just spreads the sacrum, spreads the back of the pelvis, and we also just disengage those gluteal muscles now, disengage the inside of our legs, the thighs. Good. Take a few breaths where your belly's nice and soft. So if you find it hard to relax this area when you're lying on your back, you're sitting, then sometimes it's easier when you are lying on your tummy. So we can just soften buttocks, soften the pelvic floor, soften the lower back area. This is also a good position to do some of those Kegel exercises where we focus on the front of the pelvic floor muscles around the urethra. So just that testicles to spectacles, doing that in this position, you can kind of feel your tummy button coming up off the ground as you lift that contraction from the pelvic floor upwards towards the tummy and beyond, exhaling up, testicles to spectacles and releasing down, visualizing and squeezing. Visualizing helps the brain to get those neural pathways going, and it can just really enhance the exercises, squeezing and lifting and release. Very good. Take the forearms onto the ground, come into your Sphinx pose. Nice wide forearms. First of all, just pull the chest forward and then draw the shoulders back. So we create a gentle curve through the spine, hydrating the spine. Chin in. Let the eye gaze be soft. Taking a few breaths, just enjoying this nice length, this opening length through the spine. Good, and then dropping one shoulder, looking over the other shoulder. Inhaling, dropping the other shoulder, looking over. Just check your feet are still there. And then up and over. And up and over, dropping the shoulders. We release the front of the shoulders. Good. Slowly press yourself back. Let's see if we can put that all together, the stabilizing muscles together. So we want to have our knees directly underneath the pelvis and the shoulders directly on top of nice wide hands. Bring your knees together a little bit. Now draw the pelvic floor in, zip upwards, so it feels like all of this is switched on. Take all of the weight into your right knee and stick your left foot out behind you, switching on your left glute. So we're not just kind of letting it hang here, it's active. Chin draws in, so the spine is nice and long. And see if you can challenge your balance by taking the right hand off the mat. Thumb up, little finger down. If you're wobbling here, hand back on the mat and just focus on your leg. If you're up and you're in full extension and that's easy, challenge your balance. So take the knee and the elbow out to the side like a frog. Pause, keep breathing. The breath is your barometer. Stretch out again and then slowly come back down. And swapping sides. So all the weight's in the left knee, right heel out behind you. Squeeze that right glute. See if you can challenge by taking the hand off the mat. Hold it here. Keep breathing. Stable as possible. Maybe challenging if you are finding that easier. We always want to take it up a notch. Challenge. Come back. And then dropping down. Take your hands a bit wider on your mat. Knees together still, drop the hips right over to one side. Arms still pretty strong, so I'm not kind of collapsing right down here. Releasing that IT band down the side of your pelvis. Exhaling up and over to the other side, releasing the hip here. Good, and back. And imagine your tail is behind you and you're just kind of swinging your tail around. Lovely big circles to release the pelvis one direction and then the other. Nice massaging circles. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Walk your feet towards each other. Roll the shoulders away from your ears.
There we go. Now, I'm going to get you to take all your weight into your left foot, pressing down through the heel, and see if you can stick your right foot out behind you. That's a pretty strong stretch through that left calf. So pausing here, just swapping to the other side. If this is very strong, if you want to take it further, take your right foot to your bottom, lift your right knee and right hip towards the ceiling and look underneath your armpit. So three-legged dog, imagining your tail is being pulled back towards the ceiling, swapping sides. You can always come down between sides. So we either stay here, working into the calf, or if we're a bit more open, challenge it. Take your foot maybe even up towards the ceiling, looking underneath the armpit, and then coming back down again. Bend the knees, walk your feet towards your hands towards your feet, and then sitting back into malasana, so into kind of like a frog pose, knees nice and wide, sitting bones still lifted, stretching those inner thigh muscles. So either the back of your arms onto the inside of the thighs, or if you can reach elbows and hands together. What we don't want though is for the bottom to collapse underneath. We're not coming into this kind of position. We're nice and strong. So this whole thigh area is working, and we're gently pressing outwards with the elbows to stretch this area here. Very gentle stretch out. Keep breathing, softening the pelvic floor. Now look up. We're going to rock it up by pushing the floor away with our heels. So as you exhale, slowly push your heels into the ground, coming up, challenging your legs, and then drop back down again. Good. Exhaling, push the floor away with those heels, come back down. If you had nails underneath your heels, you would be driving those nails into the ground. Like that. Breathing out. Let's do it a little bit faster. And good. Keep your bum behind you. Knees directly on top of ankles. That's it. Bit faster. Clear the lungs. Very good. So this is a kriya. The kriya gets the energy just flowing through the body, clears the mind. So let's just do a few, not too many, just a few of our regular squats with our feet parallel. So come into your good alignment. Imagine you've just come off the wall. Breathing deeply, arms out in front of you. Draw the shoulders back into the sockets. All the weight's in the heels. Slide your bottom behind you. Make sure that your toes are nice and spread, so they're light through the toes. You're in a chair position here. This is called power pose. Make sure the knees don't drift forward. You don't want to have any pressure through the front of your feet or your shins, just all through here and here. And we'll feel it here as well. Okay, so exhaling, push the floor away, relax your pelvic floor, drop back down. Exhale, push the floor away, relax your pelvic floor, drop back down. Exhaling, push the floor away, relax your pelvic floor. So we can feel what it's like for the pelvic floor to be lifted and then relaxing it. So we know what it feels like, because so many people actually start to walk around constantly holding their pelvic floor, and we don't want that. We want to be able to totally release. Now exhale, exhale, exhale up, hands down, and release pelvic floor and release hips. Lovely big circle, one direction. A bit puffed. And then the other, like so. That's it, one direction and then the other, massaging around. Alrighty, so let's take all the weight into the left leg. So come into your Tadasana here, all the way into the left leg. Spread your toes nice and wide, and then take your right foot out behind you and see if you can just feel the right glute switching on here. Keep your torso open and lengthened. Keep your chest open and open your arms as if you've got crocodile jaws. Imagine you have a string from the crown of your head pulling you up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, pull your knee and snap your jaws shut. Inhale, float your foot behind you. Toe can always go on the ground, that's absolutely fine. There's a bit more advanced when you take your toe off the ground. So just going with where you are today and knowing that actually our balance really changes with our hormonal changes through the month. Some days you'll find this easy, other days not at all. Okay, so exhale. Now I like to imagine as you exhale, tummy button is zipping up underneath the rib cage. So we're kind of practicing that drawing in and up on that exhale, like so. Challenging that standing leg. This is wonderful for the bone strength of the standing leg. Doing weight bearing exercise becomes essential for midlife women. And one more, hold it here if you can. Lift your knee up, lift the crown of the head up, maybe arms out. If you're okay here, challenge, foot out in front of you, hold it, and then drop it down and do your little Elvis release on that standing leg. Very good, well done. Nearly there, nearly there. All right, so taking your weight into your right leg now. Squeeze your thigh muscles in. So, my baggy pants on today, so squeeze inwards, open those crocodile jaws, exhaling up, inhaling to open. Now, see if you can really defocus your eyes and soften, consciously soften the muscles around your eyes. And then soften your cheeks and soften your jaw. Exhaling. That's it. Keep going. Keep the focus on your breath. Smooth breath. Feeling nice. Wide foot. Earthing you, grounding you, rooting you down. Crown of the head is being lifted, so your posture is immaculate. Drawing it in. Let's challenge that balance. Lift the knee. Maybe arms out to the side. Hold. See if you can kick your foot out just for a moment. And then releasing it down and give yourself the little Elvis release through that right standing leg. Whew. Fabulous. Take yourself across to your little bit of wall. Fingertips on the wall, bum back, right ankle on top of left ankle. Slide your fingers down as you slide your bottom back. So coming into that same figure four stretch through the glutes, knee out to the side. Now, if you're okay with balance, slide your fingers off the wall, palms together, draw your shoulders together. The wall's there if you lose your balance. Smooth breath as we drop down. The deeper you bend your standing knee, the deeper your stretch will be in the hip here. And then standing up, same thing. Other side, ankle on top of knee. Slide your behind back, bending your standing leg. See if you can keep pretty even here. And maybe taking fingers off the wall. The harder you press your hands together, the easier it is to balance. Shoulders away from ears. Gently bending into the standing leg. Smooth breath. That's it. Coming up, hands against the wall, pressing your right heel down behind you, right knee in front. Gently stretching into the calf. That's the way. And then just sliding that foot back. Heel is up, toes are on the ground. Bend into the front knee. So now we're getting into those hip flexors, the quads, and maybe opening up through the chest, lifting the fingers towards the ceiling. Deep breath in. Sigh the breath out. Deep breath in. Sigh the breath out. And swapping sides. Press down through the heel, opening up into the calves. We know that when we have tight calves, tight Achilles, tight hamstrings, that really mucks up the pelvis. And I find if I haven't done stretches like this, if I go for a run, I've been for a big walk and I don't stretch out, I really start to feel grippiness in my pelvis. So important just to keep lengthening, especially as we age. As we lose estrogen, the body starts to dehydrate. So we really need to do these kind of deep stretches in order to keep hydration through those muscle fibers. Okay, drawing all the way up, stretching through those hip flexors, smooth breath. And then taking yourself into a tabletop position. So just like we did upside down, coming into your tabletop position, like so. All right, so this is what we did on the ground. Now we're doing it against the wall. Soften the knees initially, and then pressing down now with the feet. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Draw the base of the ribcage slightly in, lengthening the whole body. Very good. And then sliding your way back up again. Bottom against the wall, feet away from the wall, bend the knees, fold yourself down. Walk your bottom back up the wall a bit higher, sitting bones kind of walking up the wall. Drop the head a bit more. Hold on to forearms if that feels okay. And then allow the weight of your arms and your head to traction the upper body. Traction through the spine. Traction through the neck. And take some full big breaths in and sigh the breaths out. Make sure your jaw is lovely and relaxed, loose, unwound. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Lovely full stretch through the back. That's the way. Good. Now, in this position, it's sometimes nice to release the shoulders too. So if you take your hands behind you and then interlace the hands and draw the fingers up towards the ceiling and then the whole shoulder girdle up towards the ceiling. That's lovely just to release those shoulders. Beautiful. Slide your way down. So now we're coming into our relaxation. Before we do so, just release the spine from side to side. So give yourself a little lateral stretch, side to side. So we've got options here, either putting your legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, and placing a bolster underneath your bottom. This is wonderful, especially if you're feeling quite heavy through the pelvic floor and it's at the end of the day. Otherwise, we're going to grab some bolsters and put ourselves into Supta Baddha Konasana, which is reclined goddess pose. So give yourself a little twist, rinse the spine, and then make your decision where you would like to go. I'm just going to show you how to get into Supta Baddha Konasana. So you need for this at least 2 or 3 pillows or a couple of bolsters. And I'm going to use a blanket as well. So what we want to do is, and this is nice in the bed, if you do this in an afternoon and you just put on a guided relaxation, this is a lovely pose to get into. We put our bottom onto the ground or onto the bed. We put a pillow underneath the knees, and so the knees can just drop out to the sides. It's a little kind of butterfly-like, and that releases through the pelvis and the psoas muscles. And then we line up the pillow so it's vertical beside the sacrum, so the back of the pelvis here, and we just kind of lie back. Now, I'm relatively open in the chest, so lying down on the ground is okay for me, but for some people it's too much on their backs, and so they need to have extra height underneath the pillow. So maybe I would just, if you had extra pillows, just place extra pillows underneath, or bricks, so that you're on a bit more of a slope here. So find props around your home that you can use. Get yourself really comfortable, get yourself warm, and you need to have your head just above your chest here. So if I was lying straight back, I would fold the blanket a few more times, but that's okay for me here. So chin slightly drawn in, head slightly above the chest. Chest is open here. Now, if you've got lots of pillows, you can always put some extra pillows underneath your forearms. So your forearms are also propped, and that's really nice. And if you've got an eye bag on top, perfect. So just get yourself into a lovely, comfortable position, either reclining like a goddess or legs up the wall, taking the next moments just to get yourself really comfortable and warm. Make sure you're warm, especially now that we're in these colder months. The body temperature drops quickly, so it's important to just make sure that you don't get too chilly. And once you've got into your restorative pose, take 3 changing breaths Inhaling through the nostrils and just sighing out through the mouth, indicating to the body and also the mind that you are ready to integrate your practice, to regenerate, and just to calm everything down. Wonderful. And just now coming aware of the whole of your body. So again, visualizing the walls, the ceiling, the carpet, the furniture around you, visualizing the colors around you. And then visualizing your body lying wherever it is and the props that you're lying on. Start to become very aware of the feeling of the air against your skin, becoming very aware of clothing, of blankets, of the pressure of your body against props. So you start to really tune into this present moment. And now becoming aware of the feeling of the breath just coming in and out of the body. Being mesmerized by the feeling of the breath, sliding in through the back of your throat and down into the lungs. And then as you exhale, the breath is warm. And on the inhale, the air is cool. Really tuning into that exchange of the air, you and the environment around you. Now taking your attention, whilst keeping this global awareness, to the very crown of your head. And just imagining that there is a swirling light here at the crown of your head. And the swirling light is creating a warmth. And the light is sparkling. It's like little sparkles of sunlight on the ocean. Imagine these little sparkles just dancing around the crown of your head, circling here. And as the sparkles circle faster, you are creating a warmth, a sensation of vibration around the crown of your head. And from this point, imagine the sense of relaxation, of vibration and sensation is sliding down through the top of the head and sliding down and around the brain, little sparkles of light swirling around the brain, swirling around and allowing the bones of your skull to soften away from each other. Imagine those sparkles are now dancing around the eyes, allowing all the little muscles around your eyes to soften, dancing around the temples and around the ears and around the back of your head, and then flowing around your cheeks, softening those cheeks, dancing around the jaw, feeling those masseter muscles massaged with this dancing light, flowing and nourishing right across the face, around the jaw, and then down into the neck. Little sparkles of light smoothing, releasing, massaging around both the front and the back of the neck, and into the shoulders, feeling the softness rippling across the shoulders. Imagine the upper back muscles are melting into the ground, wax-like, being held by the ground and encouraged to soften with the little sparkles of light you are imagining swirling around shoulder sockets, massaging and releasing muscles, swirling into the chest and around the heart, swirling, massaging, nourishing, lifting, toning, swirling down arms now through bones, feeling those lights starting to intensify, running up and down through arm bones, and then down into hands, around the palms of the hands, the back of the hands, between your fingers, and then swirling into the tips of your fingers so that you feel your hands alive with vibration and sensation, swirling back now through palms and up through wrists, through elbows, through shoulders, and back down into the torso, swirling around through intestines, massaging through kidneys, adrenals, spleen, swirling, massaging around the pelvis,
feeling these little sparkles of light lifting and nourishing and nurturing pelvic organs, flowing around, sending nutrients around the pelvis through the pelvic floor muscles. And if you feel any tension here, imagine these little sparkles of light, encouraging a softness, a release, an acceptance, and a letting go, running down around those hip joints, massaging through the legs, the thighs, the inner thighs, the outer thighs, the adductors, the abductors, softening, releasing so that the knees feel at ease, flowing down through the back of the knees, flowing down through the shin bones, the calves, releasing down into the Achilles and the ankles, swirling lights, tiny little sparkles of light, getting right into the bones of the feet, between the bones, into all the little spaces of the feet, massaging across the top of the feet and the bottom of the feet, between the toes, and then into the tips of the toes, so that the whole of your feet feel alive with vibration and sensation. And then feeling the whole of your body. The whole of your body is lit up with your awareness, washing the body clean with your awareness, sending these little mental sparkles of light, scrubbing, cleansing, moving, nourishing, shifting energy, prana, around your body. And just noticing now how relaxed your external body can be, how still you can be, because you are so relaxed. And yet internally, just underneath the skin surface, there is this constant buzz, this constant movement, constant vibration, regeneration, cells refreshing, feeling alive from the inside out, feeling alive and so alert, and yet so relaxed, so relaxed. Focusing on the breath and the gentle rise and fall of your belly, feeling the ripple of each breath through the body. There'll always be some discernible movement of the breath through the body. Feeling the little sparkles of light pulsing. And now starting to expand the breath. Starting to consciously deepen and stretch the breath. And as you do so, noticing that the body starts to feel lighter, more expanded, as if there is literally more air through the body. Honoring ourselves for where we are on our journey at this point in time. It allows us to let go of all the things that we wish we were or were not. And this opens us up to a state of acceptance, known in yoga as santosha. And this is grace. Breathing now with grace. Expanding, contracting, ebbing, flowing. Sending mentally the breath down from your center through arms and legs into fingers and toes. And it's as if you're standing outside yourself, watching the body. Start to wriggle into fingers and toes, just gently. And start to very slowly move the head from side to side. And then very fluidly, being incredibly aware of the fluid content of the body, start to mobilize. Slowly taking the hands underneath the knees and sliding them together. Or if your legs are up the wall, sliding your legs down the wall. And when you're ready, just rolling off your props, rolling over to one side. Taking a moment here to pause and open the eyes very slowly. And then pushing the floor away so that you come up into a seated position and you lift the spine and find that sweet spot where the head is perfectly positioned on top of your neck and there's no holding. You hit that sweet spot. Jaws relaxed, muscles around the eyes are relaxed, shoulders nice and relaxed. Just take a moment to reestablish yourself in this moment in time, feeling the coolness of the air on your skin, feeling into the texture of your clothing, and then taking the fingertips out to the side and turn the palms. Imagine your palms are filling with that sparkling light, that energy. And then as you breathe in, pull the hands up and overhead, stretch the spine, and then just let it all go. And again, a big breath in, energizing breath in. Last one, full breath in, hold the top of the breath, lift your eyebrows, stretch, and fantastic. Taking the hands into the heart center, just acknowledging yourself for coming and practicing. Thank you so much. The love and light in me bows to the love and the light in you. Namaste.